Hello, everybody. I hope you are as excited as I am. We are in round 3, and we have a series between two amazing players. We have Executrix up here in the blue trunks, the arm commander going K-bot first, and in the bottom, Nemtudom, also the arm commander, and the red trunks going vehicle first. As I just said, these are two amazing players, very experienced, all-stars, and I am quite sure that the matches between these two will be nothing less than epic. So I hope that you are in your seatbelts are safely fastened, and you are prepared for some awesome games between these two players. This map, Aramon Chili Rivers, I believe it's called, has not been featured so far in this tournament. This is the first time I will be casting it. Very cool, very aesthetic, very well designed, and as you can see, we do have a land bridge connecting these two bases, but there is also two islands on each side, with some metal and geo spots to boot. And we will have to see how each player decides to crack that particular chestnut. Here at the bottom of the map, it does look as though EXE has gotten a single Pee-wee passed, but Nem is ready, and he will make sure that that Pee-wee does not get any damage done before being unceremoniously destroyed by the flash. Now, on this map, I do prefer vehicles. I think vehicles are a better choice because it is mostly flat with a relatively large distance between the two bases, which gives vehicles an advantage, and flashes are quite a bit stronger in combat than are Pee-wees. And faster as well. So we will have to see if EXE can make this K-bot start work. Certainly both these players are one hell of a lot better than I am. So who am I to question their godly decisions? I am but a lowly peasant, giving homage to these great players. And as I say that, it does look as though Nem will try to get a flash up this little small little passage here, but not get too far with that. EXE has gone air second. I do like EXE's airplay. He does tend to build air fairly early on in his matches, and I think that is what makes him a quite dynamic player. Very difficult to deal with because you just never know when these annoying bombing runs are going to mosey on in to your territory and begin taking out hordes and hordes of metal extractors with little regard for anything but the mission. So we'll have to see what he does with this bomber. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Bomber's coming in. In the top, he's does look like Nem is sending some flashes, but we can't focus on both things at once. We'll have to watch this bomber. Send a scout first. He's gonna dodge those defenders. Well done. 3 metal extractors in one go. What a pro. He also took out a radar tower, a 4th metal extractor. Somebody kill this bomber for God's sake. And in the meantime, at the top of the map, these flashes are still being quite annoying. He's taken out at least 3 metal spots, I think, with those. So not bad. Both players getting their own little harassment done here, whether that be with bombers or raids. Both players doing a fairly fashionable job of keeping their opponents on their toes. Ooh, if you could get one of these K-bots. Not quite. Very close. This K-bot, I mean, is on a smidgen of health, but it will walk away. It will tell its stories to its grandchildren, grand robots, one day. But, so, luckily, EXE doing a good job of defending. Both players have inflicted some economic damage, but they've inflicted an relatively similar amount on each other. And so this game continues to be a fairly even exchange so far. These Rockos will quite easily outrange these flashes, and these flashes need to either make a choice of avoiding the Rockos completely or closing in and getting on top of them as quickly as possible where they can get their EMG cannons into range and tear those Rockos apart. Very interesting choice by EXE with the Rockos, building Rocco spam on this map. Again, if he micros it correctly, he will have an advantage. As I say that, a second Thunder will fly down here and see what it can do. Let's see what he's going for. Yeah, he's just targeting the ground at this point, and doesn't get too much done. But also one bomber, not a huge investment either. So great try there by EXE. And he is now teching up to T2, Advanced K-Bot Lab. Man, I like this map. I like this map a lot. I hope other players decide to play on this map because it is so cool. So fun to watch and cast. Let's see what's going up here. EXE building a little secret base at the top corner of Nemtudom's side of the map, but it does look like it has been discovered, and we'll have to see what how Nem decides to respond to this, or if he does anything at all. Not too much of a threat, but he is getting some metal from there for now. And let's see what Nem is doing. He is also teching to T2 vehicles. He's got 3 vehicle plants producing and an aircraft plant. Both players now going to T2, and it does look like EXE is a little ahead on that transition, but probably not going to get there too much faster than his opponent. We'll have to see. We now have Javelins versus Rockos, and I do think it does come down to micro here. If those Javelins can get into range, they will be quite formidable, but these Rockos have a much larger firing radius, which will allow them to kite those Javelins quite effectively. If he micros it well, we will have to see how this battle goes. Oh, you need to pull back, EXE, you need to pull back. EXE is pulling back, but those Javelins are now getting into range, and if they can get into range, they will tear through these Rockos. Both players doing a fairly good job with their respective army compositions of making the most of that, but as I say that, a single Bulldog pulls out into the front of the field here, and yeah, EXE will need to back off because these Bulldogs will make absolute mincemeat of these Rockos. Yeah, these Rockos are going to struggle. He does look like he's going to try to fight it, but ooh, you can already kind of see how these Rockos are getting torn up. More Bulldogs on the way. Oh, he's just decimating these. He's got to get out of there. He's got to get out. And Nem has taken a page out of EXE's book and is making his own little structural installation at the south of EXE's starting base. So again, we will have to see what both players decide to do with that. In the meantime, let's check out their bases. EXE still on T2. Looks like he's just, at this point, upgrading his economy. Nem's got some freedom fighters flying over, asserting dominance, showing that he has air superiority in this match, and that he will not be trifled with. What else is going on? On the side islands, we do have some construction planes. For Nem, trying to take these empty metal spots. Not a bad idea. And the infamous spiders. These are a kind of an escalation exclusive. I think they existed in the original game, but in this game they have been made into a tiny fraction of the original size. They are quite annoying. They can be good for dealing with Bulldogs, and they can paralyze them and allow your higher DPS units to get in there and kill the Bulldogs without any retribution whatsoever, but he will probably need more spiders than that. It looks like he's building Zeus's at this point. Zeus is not the best against bulldogs unless you have a lot of them, but bulldogs have AoE, and that AoE can be quite effective against clumps of Zeus's and T1 units. And so, yeah, we'll have to see how this battle goes, but just looking at the army compositions, I would certainly give Nem the advantage here with these bulldogs. I think these bulldogs are quite effective against Zeus's and Jethro's and rockets, so we'll have to see. In the meantime, it does look like Nem has taken over both islands to a degree. He's still building, but doing a good job of taking those tertiary bases there. And, EXE will bring down some pelicans to shake this up a bit. He says, no metal for free in my territory, and he will be doing some damage with these pelicans. Now, in escalation, pelicans no longer have the anti-air missile, which does mean that they are not as strong against air. But on the, here we go, on the left side of Nem's base, EXE will be bringing down a little raiding party of Zeus's right past those bulldogs. It's going to take down one Moho. Ooh, we might get a vehicle plant for his trouble. No, not quite. Okay, he does get a Moho. Not super effective there, but at the very least, he gets some scouting information on his opponent's base. But Nem has decided that he will respond in kind, and he will send this unstoppable army of bulldogs to the northeast, right into the heart of EXE's base. EXE is now on T2 bombers. The Phoenix, that can be quite scary indeed, depending on how he uses them, what angle of attack he decides to come in from. I've got to keep an eye on these bombers. They are sneaky, and they will fly right into Nem's base before I'm paying attention, and I will make a complete fool of myself in front of all of you. Please do not let that happen. And here we go. These bulldogs pulling in. Okay, he is building some shooters now. Shooters are much better against bulldogs than Zeus's. They can outrange them. They do quite a bit of damage per shot. And they should quite easily be able to clean up these bulldogs if they can keep them at a range. It does look like EXE was attempting to do some bombing runs on these bulldogs. I'm not sure these are the best targets. And Nem has responded with his little group of freedom fighters here, which will happily eat those phoenixes for breakfast. And we also have some Panther support. Oh man, these bulldogs are just rolling right in. EXE is in some real trouble now because this many bulldogs and Panthers in your production is never a good sign. And, yeah, EXE I think is going to call it, and he does bow out. So, wonderful game between those two. Again, I think Nem had a better army composition there, and using those bulldogs and Panthers to full effect. I will say, EXE did have some Hawks to protect his Phoenixes, but he just didn't have enough. There was just way too many freedom fighters to counter his small contingent of Panthers and Phoenix. And ultimately, really good game. I hope we see more of this map. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's pray to the TA gods. More of this map. Very cool. So on to the next game. I am excited to see. Okay, this is game 2 of Nem versus EXE in this best of 3 series, round 3 of the TA Escalation Pro 2021 tournament. And game 1 was quite awesome. Very cool map. And I know this game will bring just as many epic moments. This map, Corrupted Conflict, we have casted before. I have called it a mini gauntlet. You do have only one entrance here in the middle through which units can pass, unless you use air transports to fly them over these rocky mountainous regions on the sides here. So a lot of really interesting potential strategies. Both players have decided to go vehicle first. Up in the top left we have Nem, the red armed commander, and in the bottom right we have EXE, the blue core commander. EXE has gone core this game. That's an interesting choice. Last game he went arm. So mixing it up a little bit. I think at this level of play, I'm sure both players can use either faction quite effectively. So we will have to see if EXE plays core better, if maybe he's more familiar or comfortable with core. Certainly the identity of each faction is unique. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, and using each faction to its full effectiveness will be a huge determinant of the of who wins this game. I will inform the viewer that I have already watched some of this match. I got quite a bit far in, and then there was so much going on that I had to start the cast over. And you will see why later on in the match, but I can tell you already this is quite an epic battle that you are going to love what happens. I don't know who wins. I will admit that right now. I have no idea who wins. I just know that what we are about to witness can be described as no less than legendary. So I hope you are excited for that. Let's see. He does kill that Jeffy there. Just a little rating on behalf of both players. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It does look like Nem is sending down some flashes. Ooh, he might get this tasty, tasty construction vehicle here. Oh my god, he's going to go... Oh my god. EXE being very sneaky with that, and yeah, Nem just walks right past it. It will continue its job of building metal extractors, and it will be quite a story to tell to its robot grandchildren one day. But in the meantime, we do have some instigators coming up the middle here. In the middle, Nem has his own little army of Jeffies and a few flashes. And already it seems like each player is demarcating their position on this map. Nem already building some light laser towers. EXE sure to follow. And EXE bringing up a small group of instigators here, but they are going to hit a wall, a literal wall of flashes and Jeffies, and be quite quickly pushed back onto EXE's side of the map. So great job by Nem defending that little raid. And as I said, EXE will bring up his own construction vehicle and begin to build a small wall of light laser towers so that both players can stay on their own sides of the map and begin to tech into the higher tiers of technology, which will allow them to increase their resource income and also to build much stronger and more powerful units. At the top left, we do see Nem is now on 3 vehicle plants. He's going heavily into flash production. And in the bottom right, EXE, as is his trademark, has built that early aircraft plant and will most likely engage in some bombing runs. Here we go. He's going to take out 1 metal extractor, 2 metal extractors. Ooh, he gets 2. Not bad. He's going to send this scout, get some information on his opponent, see what's going on. And as I said earlier, both players content to create a small wall of defenses on their side of this little mini gauntlet. to prevent players from encroaching into their territory and allowing them to slowly take over their portion of the map and tech into higher tiers of units. Another bombing run by EXE. He's going to take out some metal spots. Nothing too disastrous, but just being annoying, keeping his opponent on his toes. As I said, when you play against EXE, you always have to expect a bombing run could appear at any moment. And so we've seen that in both games now, these bombers being quite annoying, but also effective as well. And, EXE doing something very interesting here. He's building Valkyries, which is the core transport. He's going to pick up some of these levelers, and he is going to go for a raid. He is going to drop these levelers onto his opponent's side of the map and see if he can get some economic damage done. But, he's got to drop these. Nope. These defenders do take out those Valkyries before they can drop their payload of levelers. And I do have to say, I think this was a fantastic strategy. Levelers are quite strong against almost everything that Nim has at this point in the game. So it's unfortunate that that strategy didn't work, but certainly an interesting attempt, and we will have to see what else he does. He's got another Valkyrie here. What could he be doing with these? I can't tell from this position whether they have anything loaded in them, but we'll have to keep an eye on those. EXE now teching to advanced vehicle plants. He has quite a few Valkyries here, but he's on T2 now, and his opponent is working on T2. Yeah, Nim is he is working on his own T2 vehicle plant. So both players teching to T2 vehicles, and in the middle, EXE building a Punisher. This Punisher will force all of Nim's units back. It is quite an effective breaker of stalemates in this position, and it should easily force this impressive army of flashes and javelins further back into Nim's base and likely deal some economic damage, taking out these LLTs. Quite an effective battery there to force his opponent back and give him room to push into Nim's base more easily. But Nim has countered with Merls. Merls are a T2 vertical missile launcher that ARM can build. They are quite effective against structures. Their missiles have no homing ability, but they do an incredible amount of damage at a huge range, and they are specifically designed for buildings just like this Punisher, which will almost certainly die to Merl fire. And there it goes. Yeah, Merl's quite an effective counter there. Great job to Nim. And this will allow him to move his units back into position at the entrance to the little mini gauntlet here, which divides both sides. He'll take out that second defensive structure there with the Merls, and as I said, he's going to move right back in here with his little army of flashes, bulldogs, and javelin. It's not so little. It's quite an impressive force. And Nim has decided it is time to take the offensive to my opponent. He's going to move in here with quite an effective force of flashes, javelins, bulldogs, and Merls in the back, giving some supporting fire. On the right side, EXE has very cleverly dropped off a small army of Reapers with those Valkyries, the transports, and he's going to take these Reapers in and do some economic damage. Let's go back to the middle here. Nim has broken through. He is in his opponent's base. He's kind of swarming all around, taking out metal extractors, taking out defenders. He's broken his army into 3 contingents. One going south, one going west, and one moving east. It's hard to even keep track of all of it, but in the middle we have some Bulldogs against EXE's Goliaths. Goliaths are a decent counter to Bulldogs. They have much more health than Bulldogs and do quite a bit more damage. So yeah, these Goliaths should quite easily counter these Bulldogs in the middle. But the question is, what is EXE going to do against this army of Bulldogs on the right side? In the meantime, these two Reapers, which we talked about earlier, they've done quite a bit of damage to Nem's base, just walking around, taking out every metal extractor in sight. Very impressive drop by EXE, getting those 3 Reapers into the weak point of Nem's base and doing quite an impressive amount of economic damage. In the meantime, Nem has these 3 Bulldogs, which have made it down the right side of EXE's base, and EXE will build a wall of Dragon's Teeth to trap these Bulldogs in place so that EXE can eventually finish them off. Let's see what's going on in the middle. Another battle here. Now EXE pushing into Nem's part of the map. This commander will he will degun these 2 remaining Bulldogs. Very cheeky play by EXE, using these aircraft to Dragon Teeth off his Bulldogs so that they can be easily degunned by the commander. And in the middle, we have a fight between Bulldogs and Goliaths. As I said, Goliaths are quite a bit stronger than Bulldogs, so we will have to see how this goes. Nem bringing his own commander in for the degun, if he can get in range, but these Manticores are quite long-ranged. They will easily outrange a commander's degun if the player is paying attention. And EXE making a few Manticores past these defenses, and we'll have to see what he can do there. So great job by both players. This has been a very intense match so far. These Manticores continuing to push and push past the opponent's defenses and into the meaty foundation of the base. Going to take out some metal extractors here. And on the right side, another single Manticore getting some harassment done there. We'll have to see what happens to these Manticores. They are making it into the heart of Nem's base, but it looks like they will finally be cleaned up by this small contingent of Panthers, who should quite easily be able to finish those Manticores off. And in the middle, we have Goliaths versus Bulldogs. As I said before, Goliaths are quite a bit stronger than Bulldogs, but also a lot more expensive. 1,000 metal apiece versus the Bulldogs 700. But yes, they do have more health and they do more damage. They are a little slower, but ultimately Goliaths will come out on top in a battle with Bulldogs. So we'll have to see what Nem decides to do in order to counter these Goliaths. Penetrators are a really good choice. Let's see. He's got quite a few Panthers. He could just try to skirt these Bulldogs completely, but EXE is prepared. He's built an immolator. Immolators NTA escalation are a little different than they were in the original game. They are now a T2 anti-swarm defense. They have quite a bit of range, and they are very strong against Panthers that wander into their flame-throwing solution that will absolutely melt them down. As you can see here, we've got immolators all over the place, doing a great job of pushing these Panthers back wherever they try to enter into EXE's base. So, very impressive job there by EXE to build these immolators. They're not the most common defense, but they are quite effective for those shorter range units, especially T1. They will literally melt T1 units to death that walk into their range. It does look like EXE has built an army of Goliaths and Manticores. Manticores are called a hybrid battle tank. because they shoot missile salvos at a rapid pace, which are good at both land and air. They can fire in either, which makes them a decent hybrid unit. This Goliath looks to be the last one left, but he does still have quite a few Manticores, and these Manticores, being a support unit, should be able to clean up what's left of Nem's army. So we just have a graveyard here of metal corpses. Moment of silence, please, everybody, to honor the fallen. And we are back. These bulldogs are going to they're going to retreat. It does look like Nem is content to just continue pumping out bulldogs at his opponent. And let's see what EXE is doing on his side of the map. He has taken quite a few T2 metal extractors, the Moho extractors. And because of that, he does have an economic lead over his opponent. A little bit. It looks like he might be about 15 or 20 metal ahead. Nem has not upgraded as many of his metal spots to T2, but he is in the process of working on it. And at this point, it's a very even game. Both players certainly still in it, still have quite an opportunity to come out on top. EXE sending in some scouts, just trying to see what his opponent's up to. They say knowing is half the battle, so we will see what EXE has planned with this information that he has gleaned from the scouts. What's going on down here? EXE continuing to pump out Goliaths and Manticores. A decent combination. As I said before, Goliaths act as the tanky front line, which allows the long-range Manticores to push out their endless salvos of missiles with near impunity. A very nice complementary army. And in the meantime, Nem is content to just stay on bulldogs with maybe a Merle or two in the background. But yeah, I don't know that bulldogs are really the best against the this particular composition that EXE is building. So we'll have to see what Nem decides to do. He's sending his own scouting party. But as I said before, these Manticores very good against air and will quite easily take out anything that flies over them. So those freedom fighters do get eaten alive. And in the meantime, it does look like EXE is building some T2 air defense on his side of the map to prevent any sneaky bombing campaigns or transports from flying in and dropping off their payload. So impressive job there. Nem building a protector, which is the T2 anti-missile defense. This should allow him to prevent EXE from building his own missiles, but which is exactly what EXE has decided to do. There's a little bit of a battle here in the middle, but as I said, EXE now working on a T2 tactical missile. These are like mini nukes. I have no other way to describe them. They're not quite as powerful as the full nuke, the core silencer, but they are indeed still very powerful, and unless countered, can do an immense amount of damage to your opponent's base or their army. But as I said before, Nem is already prepared for this particular scenario and has built a protector. So very good on him to be prepared for this neutralizer, but we'll have to see what happens. In the middle, we have a fight between Goliaths and bulldogs and some Manticores. These bulldogs, seeing how many Goliaths there are, would be wise to retreat, and it does look like Nem might be pulling back here very very difficult situation, as I've said several times already. Goliaths versus Bulldogs certainly favors the Goliaths by quite a margin. So, yeah, Nim might want to consider building something else than Bulldogs. He is building some Lugers. These are not bad against Goliaths. I think Penetrators might be the best choice in this scenario. But let's see what the players are doing. EXE on T2 Air, building some Rapiers. And otherwise, just massing some Goliaths at the top of the map. Nim is just building Freedom Fighters and Bulldogs, it looks like, and some Lugers. It might be difficult for these Rapiers to get anything done. It does look like Nim has taken the threat of air very seriously and has built a veritable army of defenders, and has also quite an impressive force of Freedom Fighters, so that might be a difficult scenario for EXE if he sends those Rapiers over to his opponent's side of the map. But in the meantime, he is going to send this contingent of Goliaths up the middle, through the north, and right into the heart of his opponent's base. He's taking out these Bulldogs quite easily. These Goliaths very effective at chewing through the Bulldogs as if they were absolutely nothing. Also, they have a relatively large AoE, which will effectively chew down Bulldogs in these clumps. Definitely better if the Bulldogs stay together. But he also has an army of Lugers there to prevent those Goliaths from getting too much done. He's going to bring in his Freedom Fighters here. Freedom Fighters don't do too much damage to ground. They've certainly been nerfed from the original game, but at the very least they will put in some damage against these Goliaths and keep them at bay. So overall, great defense by Nim. It does look as though he has thwarted this attack for the most part. And EXE continuing to bring up his trademark combination of Goliaths and Manticores into the front lines of this battle. Let's see what else is going on back at home. Tons of windmills, tons of resource generators, still working on Rapiers, it seems, and we still have this neutralizer, this tactical nuke of cores. And we will have to see how that neutralizer plays into this game. At the top, we do have a fusion and advanced energy storage. He's working on some metal makers. And his opponent continuing to fire these Lugers. I believe what just happened, if I am not mistaken, is that a neutralizer did fire a missile, and that missile was stopped by the protector. I didn't see it completely, but I think that's what happened. We have a very epic battle here going on in the middle, and it does look like these Goliaths will slowly be chewed up by the remaining Bulldogs and some Freedom Fighters. But in the meantime, looking down here, EXE has 3 neutralizers. That is 3, count them, 3 little tactical nukes. And so this one protector is most likely not going to be able to stop all of those nukes at once. I have to say that Nim is most likely in for a very unpleasant surprise when he becomes the victim of 3 tactical nuclear attacks at the same time. He's sending some scouts down here. Got to keep an eye on these tactical missiles, because when they fire, it is going to be over in a matter of seconds. So we'll try to keep an eye on that. And Alright, let's speed it up here. We got these Goliaths coming in to the left side of the map here. Maybe just gonna get some scouting done. And here comes 3 tactical nukes all at once. Ooh, they hit a geo, they take out an aircraft plant. Very effective there. I just don't know if Nim has an answer to 3 tactical nukes, 3 neutralizers, constantly building up a supply, a stockpile, and we'll have to keep a close eye on what they do. In the middle, it does look like Nim will be trying to push into this little defensive line of Vipers, but those should quite easily push the Bulldogs back. But in the meantime, we have some Lugers in the background pushing in their own damage from afar. Still, it will be quite difficult to push back these Vipers. Again, I don't know how Nim plans to deal with these 3 tactical nukes on the left side of the map here. And we'll have to keep a close eye on those. Nim pushing down with Bulldogs and Lugers. EXE sending in a scout there. And these Vipers continuing to pump out DPS against these Bulldogs in the middle of the map. Some Rapiers coming into... Alright, here, let's slow it way down. It looks as though Nim has sent a few more tactical missiles here. Looks like it's almost paused. But yeah, he has fired several more tactical missiles at the this. Ooh, taking out all these advanced K-bot plant, taking out everything there. Very nice, very effective nuclear missile attack there. And in the middle, it does look as though EXE has pushed back Nim's forces again. And Nim decides, yeah, he's gonna tap out. That was enough for him. So great job on both players. I think Nim probably could have stayed in the game a little longer. He didn't necessarily need to tap out there, but certainly those 3 tactical nukes made a huge difference, and very heads-up play by EXE. Very interesting strategy all around, but awesome game from both players. And we are going to our first game 3 of the tournament. So guys, I'm excited to see what happens. Let's go. Okay, this is game 3 of Nemtudom versus Executrix. And Nim here in the bottom left going core, the blue commander, and in the top left, EXE going arm with air first. That is a quite risky strategy. We've already established that EXE does love to go with his air. He does seem to favor air, but he usually doesn't start with it. That is a risky strategy if there ever was one, but at this level of play, who am I to say what works and what doesn't work? I'm sure EXE can make it work in a place that most players could not. But already it does look like his opponent Nim is going to build a scrubber and send it forth to get some harassment done. And with air only, I don't know how he's going to stop this harassment, but he is going to build a bomber right after this first construction aircraft, so going straight into bombing. And it doesn't look like Nim has a single anti-air turret to speak of, no anti-air defense at all. So, alright, we'll have to see what this Thunder gets done. It's going to just kind of pause here, a single scout to fly forward. Oh, this is going to be nasty. One metal extractor. Okay, he has built a pulverizer. He does have some air defense. But this bomber is going to stay out of the range of that pulverizer and take out these solar collectors. He's building a second pulverizer. I'm sorry I can't watch what's going on in the north of the map. Ooh. Nasty, nasty. This bomber has taken out one of the missile turrets. And here we have 2 scrubbers. Being very annoying. Going to take out some metal spots, it seems. Take out one. What's going on with this bomber? This bomber is coming back around for some more. It's on really low health. It's just going to land here. And these scrubbers going to be taken out. That scrubber taken out. The second one taken out by the commander. So nice defense there by EXE. And it looks like his opponent is still struggling to rebuild. He probably needs some more power. But overall, nice start by both players, but very, very impressive bombing technique by EXE. He does tend to love his air, and we are witnessing that in this game. His opponent, Nem, has 2 defenders, or pulverizers, 3 now. That should curtail some air aggression, but oh, he might need more than that. We do have 1 thunder here. It does look like EXE has gone hovercraft second, which will give him some more diversity in his ability to take over the map and stop these raids of scrubbers. And yeah, it does look like he's sending a few skimmers over here. See if he can get some harassment done. Fighter over here. Got to keep a close eye on what's happening. Skimmer does make it into the base, and it will get quickly taken out by this pulverizer. And here we go, another bombing run. Let's see what happens here. We go straight for that pulverizer. Ooh, oh my gosh, what a disgusting bombing run. He took out all 3 pulverizers and 2 metal extractors in a single go. That has to hurt. And now Nem's base is completely undefended. Not a single anti-air structure or unit to speak of, and that will allow EXE's bomber to have absolute impunity. And yeah, Nem realizing that it's probably over. Just what incredible play on EXE's part. Absolute domination, insane bomber control, and that game will end very quickly. But either way, amazing series between these 2 players. Either one of them could have won. And wow, EXE advances into the semifinals, and boys and girls, I am looking forward to that. So I hope you enjoyed this series as much as I did, and with that, on to the next one.